angles will all add up to 180. So it's those inside angles that we're looking at. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this done, but I just wanted to prove it to you doing a little activity here. A straight line is also 180 degrees, right? If I have this triangle here, I colored all of the angles, all of the interior angles, and I'm going to cut them off. So if I were to cut all of the angles off here, and then piece them back together, like a little puzzle here, what do you see forming? Whoops, I didn't. Like a half circle, right? Let me make it look a little bit better here. See how that half circle is formed? And it lines up perfectly with that 180 degree straight line. So that's just a way to prove that all of those interior angles will add up to 180 degrees. And that will work with any triangle, if you were to do that activity. It's like a little magic trick there, huh? All right, we're going to do several examples together. So you're going to need to copy these down. And our first directions are going to say to solve for the missing angle. So we're going to start with a easier example here. All right. So we have one that's a question mark. That's the one we're trying to solve for the missing angle. And then we know the other two, that it's 67 and 43 degrees. Does anyone have an answer and maybe want to share what steps you took to get the answer here? Drake, what did you do?
I added up 67 and 43, and I got 110 from that.
Okay.
And we needed to get to 180, so I took 180 minus 110 and got 7.
Perfect. So it involves a couple steps. He said that he first added the ones that he knew together. And then to get that missing piece, you wanted to subtract from 180 because you know all together they should add to 180. So we're going to use, that's how we're going to solve them, but I want us to set these up using an equation, okay? Because eventually they're going to get a little more difficult. And if we just start setting them up as an equation right from the start, later on it will be easier for you. So whenever we don't know something in algebra, like here we have a question mark, what could I put in place of the question mark? What, an x, or any variable. So you can also think of that as like your x, your variable that you're solving for. And we're going to set this up showing an equation. So I can take my angle x, then this angle 43 and 67. The sum of them, or all of them together, should total, or they will total, 180 degrees. The order that I put these does not matter. Okay? So now we have an equation to solve. Okay, here's our equal sign. Anything I could do on this side to simplify? Yeah, we could add those two numbers together. And that was Drake's first step, right? Adding those two angles together there. So we just have this equation to solve. I'm going to add, what's 43 and 60? 110. or 67, 110. And then we're going to keep solving for x. We want to undo the numbers that are around x on this side. So it's the 110 that we want to cancel, right? So we're going to subtract. Whatever we do to one side, do to the other. You get a little equation review in this section too. So those cancel, and 180 minus our 110, there's that 70 degrees. So we really did the same steps that Drake mentioned. We added those together, and then we ended up subtracting it from 180. This is just how you can show your work and use an equation to solve that. Okay? Everybody all right with that one? Any questions? Okay, take a look. Example 2. I'm not drawing these perfectly to scale, but they'll work for our examples here. All right, this one doesn't have a lot of information up there, does it? Is there any angle that we do know for sure? There is something that's, what do you think, Jack? The 90 degrees. Yeah, this one down here where it has the square drawn in the corner, that right there tells us that this is a right angle, a 90-degree angle. So we can use that. The others, however, we are going to have to solve. We're solving for those missing angles. So this is where we can use an equation. We're going to go around our interior angles, add it up, x plus the 2x plus the 90 will all total 180. It's always going to equal 180. Okay, and then we have this equation to solve. So on this side, anything we can simplify or combine together? What do you notice that we could? Bailey? Yeah, the ones with the variable here. X plus the 2x. When there's no number in front, that's really like a 1, right? So 1x plus 2x gives us 3x. Then bring down the rest. And now we actually have a two-step equation to keep solving here. So leaving your variable where this is. A little reminder, we want to do any addition or subtractions first. So we want to cancel out the 90. So since it's adding 90 right now, we're going to do our inverse. Subtract 90. And we have to do that to the other side as well. Yeah, so those cancel. We get 3x equals 90. And we got to keep solving. One final step. When this is really like 3 times x, what do I want to do? I want to divide, yep. Divide by 3. I have to do the same thing to the other side. Divide by 3. So now I know that the x is 30. So this actually helps me figure out this angle, right? So this angle here was x. That means this is also 30 degrees. What about this one down here? How could I figure out what that... What do we have to do, Bailey? Yeah, because this is saying to do 2 times the x value. And I already know the x, so I have to do 2 times 30, which would give me 60. So at first, we didn't have any numbers up there, right? But we figured them out. This was 90, 30, and 60. A 30, 60, 90 triangle. And you can double check, too. Do they all add up to 180? 30, 60, and 90? Does that give us 180? Yep. All right, would you guys like to get your calculators? You're going to use them on your homework paper anyway. So come on up, and we'll do a couple more examples. Example 3. Now again, this one gives us two angles that we already know, but then there's this angle, and it's just left as 9x plus 5. Notice our directions though. It doesn't want us to figure out what the angle is. It wants us to actually solve for x. Right, but we can use that triangle sum theorem to do this. So we'll go around the triangle again, and so we have a 50 degrees, 80 degrees, and then this one says 9 times x plus 5. So I can take all three angles, add them up, right? It doesn't matter the order. I have 50, I have 9x plus 5, and an 80. All together, they're going to add up to give us 180 degrees. It's always going to equal 180 degrees today. And then once you set up your equation, this time we're going to solve for x. So anything on this side that we could kind of clean up or simplify. Jake?
Add together all the additions.
Good. Okay, we're going to add up all the numbers. Numbers that are just on their own, those are called our constants. So we can add the 50, the 5, and the 80. What does that give us? 135. Okay, so I'm going to bring down, I have 9x plus all of those added together was our 135 and equals 180. Alright, and now if we're solving for x, leaving our variable where it is, I'm going to start canceling out the other numbers around it. We want to do our addition or subtraction first. So I want to cancel out 135, right? So we can subtract that away. Whatever we do to one side, got to do to the other. So what's 180 minus 135 give us? 45. And then our one final step, we have to divide. We're going to divide by 9. So x is 5. Now the angle isn't 5. It's just the x value that would be 5. If we wanted to figure out what this angle is, we could, right? We have to do 9 times the x value and then add 5 more. Okay, but that's not what the directions said. It just said to solve for x. So we're all done. That would be our answer there. So you'll have to pay attention to what your directions are saying today. We doing okay? All right, one last one. geometry notation and some new symbols up there at the top. Does anyone know what this would say? Find some students earlier were saying, oh, it's like MLA in our English class. All right, in this case, M is standing for the measure. So that's kind of a abbreviation shortcut in geometry for measure. And this is our symbol in geometry for angle. So that's saying up there, find the measure of angle A. And we're going to make this angle down here, angle A. All right, so we have one angle that we know for sure, 77 degrees. The others we don't know. We're going to have to solve our equation. And then we'll be using that x value to figure out just this angle, angle A. All right, we can go around our equation, or around our triangle to set up our equation. We got 77 plus this one, so plus x plus 75, and then plus this angle as well, so plus x plus 52. Again, the order that you do that doesn't matter. All of it is going to add up to what? 180. All right, and on this side, before we start solving, anything we can simplify, anything we can combine together. Emma? Good. So I know I can add those together. X plus x, that's going to give me 2x. And then we have our constants left over. So 77, 75, and 52, what's that going to add up to give us? 204. All right, so this side is simplified as we can be. We can start solving now. Want to cancel out that 204 first. So we can subtract 204 from both sides. And we're going to run into some negatives here. That's okay. 180 minus 204 gives us negative 24. And then one final step. Divide by that 2, right? So then negative 24 divided by a positive 2. Negative 12. Now again, that doesn't give us an angle measure, and that wouldn't make sense to have a negative answer for an angle, right? Can't have an angle that is a negative. But we're going to use this to now figure out what angle A is. So we have to bring this back up. And we can write out the measure of angle A equals, what do we have to do? It says the measure of angle A is x plus 52, right? So I can plug in now my x value here. What did we figure out x was? Negative 12. So I'm going to put in negative 12 plus 52. And that'll give us negative 12 plus 52, positive 40. So the measure of angle A is 40 degrees. That would be our final answer here to show. Holy cow, that's a lot of work, huh? A lot of steps. All right. Any questions on that one, or how would